Good afternoon, Packers fans. Aaron Negler here with your Packers Daily Chat, coming to you live on the Cheesehead TV social channels. It is Tuesday, the Packers off day. The NFL world obviously has their mind someplace else other than football for most going concerns. The incident last night in the Bengals-Bills game on the minds of everybody in and around the league. So I'll most likely keep this short today. Still want to talk some Packers, though. Obviously, the big game coming up on Sunday, though. The league's announcement that the Bills and Bengals game will not be kind of brought back up this week included a reference to Week 18 games and the fact that there has been no thought to rescheduling them yet. And that's an important note. The fact that they even mentioned that would lead one to believe there's definitely conversations being had regarding the possibility of moving the Week 18 games back a week, the entirety of the schedule, including the playoffs, to the Super Bowl back a week. Obviously, a lot of balls in the air in that regard if they were to do that, but we'll see. Things could be very different this time tomorrow, and then we can talk about it. But for the meantime, I'm going to just briefly say that the greatest thing in this world right now is, and the most important thing in the NFL world is to get news out of Buffalo or out of Cincinnati, where the young man is, and hope that we get good news sooner rather than later. Don't want to speculate on anything. Obviously, don't want to talk too much in particular, just because we don't know anything, other than that he suffered a cardiac arrest. That said, it is pretty amazing to watch the NFL world pull together. It's pretty great to see some good come out of such an awful occurrence and such a terrible moment. Gives you hope, at least, that there's still really good forces out there at work in humanity that, unfortunately, sometimes you only get to see when something awful occurs. But just hoping that the young man's okay and that we hear good news sooner rather than later. Hello to everybody in the comments. Good to see you all. Hope you're all doing well. What's going on? John, thanks for the super chat. Prayers up to Hamlin. My faith in humanity is sort of restored with the charity and everyone coming together. Yeah, as I was saying, it's encouraging. Definitely encouraging to see such an outpouring. And I know the statement from his family kind of touched on how overwhelmed they were with the just the response from, not just obviously fans that were in attendance, but fans from all over the country and indeed the world. It's pretty incredible. Pretty incredible. Social media isn't a good indicator on humanity. Johnny, I would beg to differ, sir. It gives us the raw responses to things. And trust me, I'm probably on social media a little bit more than you are. And I have a bit bigger of a following, and I see a lot more of it than you do. And that's just where I live, Trust me, I've seen the worst of the worst. It has exposed a lot of awfulness. And the fact that the outpouring of love and support hasn't been limited to social media, but to people actually showing up outside the hospital and going to places in Buffalo and things of that nature. It has nothing to do with things going on social media. Hat tip to the trainers, doctors, and first responders who handled business immediately. Absolutely, Daniel. I was just talking about that on the radio. It's pretty incredible to see how fast things got, spraying into action there. And hopefully, when every minute counts, hopefully that helps the young man long term. Jesse, please don't cancel the Packers game this weekend. I mean, I don't think they will, but I'd be lying if I said it's not a possibility. I think there's a possibility. Now, when you say cancel, I think you mean move, because I don't think they're going to cancel the games. I think the Week 18 games will get played. It's just a question of when. I wasn't trying to be a contrarian. I just believe people are better than how they act on the internet. I think there's a lot of true impulses that get exposed on the internet, especially on Twitter. That's what I think. Andrew, thanks for the super chat. On a lighter note, Mr. Pac-Man took one for the team during the Miami game for the Packers and Packer Nation. Thank you, Mr. Pac-Man. He's the reason. Hey, man, Packer Man is there to be destroyed. That's his whole reason for being. So when I destroy him, he is accomplishing his life's goal. And then he's put back together again. Until the next time. Thank you, Andrew. Really appreciate that. Andy, thanks for the super chat. So what is Zach Tom Bombadil's best positions besides going under the radar? It's not under the radar anymore, is he? I still think it's probably going to be at left tackle, which is kind of crazy when you think that, Packers obviously have one of the best left tackles in the game in David Bakhtiari. But now he has played in regular season games at all 4 spots outside of center, and he took snaps at center during training camp. So he can play all 5. It's kind of crazy. But I thought he held up extremely well at right tackle in relief of Josh Nijman on Sunday. The Vikings, they don't have any jokes out there at pass rush when it comes to either Danielle Hunter or Zadarius Smith, and he held up pretty damn well. I mean, again, it's not a perfect game, but even for a rookie, again, coming off the bench, wasn't starting there, comes in cold off the bench and holds up remarkably well. Man, that's impressive. That's a feather in his cap. He has answered the bell regardless of when it's been rung, where they've asked him to go. All he does is come in and play at a high level. I think his poorest performance probably on the year was when he had to come in week 1 in Minnesota and play left guard. But, man, everybody was terrible up front that day, But so far, that's been his poorest performance. That said, I don't think that means he can't play left guard. Who knows? I think that's going to be one of the fascinating things to watch this offseason, beginning with where they put him in offseason workouts right through training camp and where he competes there. I think it's pretty clear, though, that, when it comes to, talking about you want to get your best 5 on the field, he has made a case that he is one of the best 5. I don't see how you keep him off the field at this point. But I'm sure the Packers will find a way. Devin, thanks to the super chat. Best unsung hero from Sunday. That's a good question. Best unsung. It feels like everybody's been sung, right? I don't know. Devin. I just feel like there's nobody I could say that wouldn't have been talked about. I mean, I mentioned Josiah DeGuara yesterday and his run blocking. He's not someone who's making a ton of headlines, so I'll go with him again. But, guys up front did a good job. Love the way that the guys got up after it along the defensive front. How about Hollins? Let's give Hollins the call because he had that great sack on a play where if Cousins has a beat or 2 more, he probably hits Jefferson for a decent-sized gain. So Jefferson would have had 2 receptions. And seriously, though, Jefferson, if he hits it just right, he probably has yak to maybe even get in the end zone. So, yeah, let's give it to Hollins for his sack. There you go. Nick, thanks to the super chat. Is it concerning how much Watson body catches instead of using his hands? Been noticing it more recently. I think that's a real case-by-case basis. He uses his hands a lot. I think sometimes it's just how he's running and or the position of how he's got to turn his body on a certain play. Certainly, I think that was the case down in Miami in that pass to the flat. Or I'm sorry, was that against the Rams? They all bleed together now. The one where Rodgers gave him a shot up the left sideline in the end zone. His arm is being constricted by the defender there. I think everyone's a little bit different, but I wouldn't categorize him as a big body catcher. I think he's used his hands quite a bit. What else we got? Vex, thanks to the super chat. Football seems very meaningless. Go hug your friends and family. Love to Nags and everyone watching. Love you all. Excellent sentiment, Vex. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. See, this is what I'm talking about. Number 6 sucks. Rick, Dalvin was in the bad because he got run over on the block punt, but he's also excellent in coverage and does a lot of really good things. So I wouldn't be so dismissive. What else we got? Bucky, thanks to the super chat. Was that the Lamb for Nixon return or just electric? You mean Lambo? Were you at Lambo or Lamb? You're like Lamb Dies Down on Broadway, like the old Genesis album? Yes, I'm showing my age. I can't imagine, dude, watching it back, the broadcast, because obviously when Corey and I do watch party, we don't have any of the sound on, so don't really get a sense for that kind of thing. But man, on the broadcast, it sounded like Lambo was insane. and not just on that play, but like the vibe throughout the entirety of the game was incredible. And it was kind of interesting because like they kept showing crowd shots, and there were so many Vikings fans, but sure felt like the Packers fans made their presence known, like early and often and throughout. Of course, it always helps. The Packers, gave them reasons to cheer. Like I remember people talking about, oh, it was so dead for that Jets game. Well, yeah, look what they were watching. It always helps when you got stuff to cheer for. No doubt about it. What else we got here, folks? Got that one. Oh, where is it? Cheeto, thanks for super chat. Can we hype science as much as we say thoughts and prayers? Christ. See, but then you end with Christ. Is that science? I'm kidding. Man, I'm hyping science. That's why I was talking just now on the radio about the occurrence itself is such a freak occurrence. The idea that, this is a 1 in a million, if not couple million chance to get hit at just the right time in the cycle, in the spot he got hit in. I mean, it's a 1 in a million thing that just happened. And people obviously instantly go into conspiracy theories and talking all sorts of ridiculousness. And it's like, man, it's a violent game and something violent happened, Now, what was interesting to me is people kind of, the knee-jerk reaction almost was, oh, they're going to keep playing. I think everybody around the NFL kind of, and, Joe Burrow starts warming up. You saw a shot of Stephon Diggs, gathering the guys, kind of get them back into the mode, whatever. It's just kind of the knee-jerk thing, right? If anyone's ever been to a training camp practice, guy gets hurt. You either move him, or if you can't move him, you move the drill, and on you go, right? They just played through a pandemic. These games are going to happen. So I think that's kind of the knee-jerk, like, this is what's going to happen. But then once they started talking about CPR, and as long as it took and was taking, it became very obvious that this was a little different, right? And then what's fascinating to me is I had obviously known about Corey Stringer's death years ago in the heat and training camp, right? Outside of that, I can't think of too many other like NFL player deaths related to the game of football. I had no idea until last night, and I am a total NFL geek, that there was an NFL player who died of a heart attack in a game back in 1971. It was a Lions wide receiver whose name I can't remember at the moment, but that, like, to me is just crazy. That wasn't more like I didn't know that, and honestly, the dark thought here is that it hasn't happened since. Now, obviously, these guys are afforded the best medical care, and they're the medical side of it is so far advanced from back then. These guys have every opportunity. They spot heart murmurs. I mean, the thing with David Bakhtiari about a month ago, getting the appendectomy because the Packers doctors were the ones saying you got to go, right? So these guys are in a very different kind of world, and I understand that, but it just kind of points to what a freak occurrence this was, and that's, to your point, like the science of it. He's in a hospital. He's getting the best possible care he can. But there's nothing wrong with people wanting to pray on it. There's nothing wrong with people wanting to send wishes and hopes. My tweet last night was, whatever is grace and good in this world, please visit this young man. I don't think that's anti-science. It's just wanting the best for the guy, Brett, thanks for the super chat. I keep seeing this team being compared to the 2010 team. I find that disrespectful to that loaded roster we had then. I compare this to 2015, if any. I don't think there's any disrespect. What's disrespectful about wanting to go on a Super Bowl run? I ask you this, sir. Nothing. Hey, if they end up flaming out, not getting to the Super Bowl, fine. Then they can be compared to whoever. But at this moment, win and get in, go on a magical run, hell yeah, let's do it. What's wrong with that? No disrespect. Oh, here's the question. With Zach Tom playing as good as he is, does that mean Bakhtiari is not back next year? Not necessarily, but it's definitely part of the conversation. I don't think it's going to mean that David's gone, but I'm not the one making the decisions. And who knows what transpires over the course of the next month or two and what conversations are had salary cap wise, health wise, quarterback wise. There's a lot of pieces to that puzzle. So we'll see. Chris, thanks to Super Chat. Getting Tunyon more involved would be huge for the offense. Starting to see it more each week. No question about it. He's clearly started around the corner a little bit. He had started losing snaps, I think, especially when it came to trying to be a little bit more kind of active in the run game, although that's picked up as well in his game. And definitely see Rodgers looking for him a little bit more. I don't know how many more plays they're actually calling for him. Clearly, the touchdown was off schedule and wasn't a called play for Tunyon, but anything they can do to get him a little bit more involved and have defenses start to worry about it a little bit, it's only going to help. And look, again, we talked about this a couple times here on Daily. He's coming off a major injury, and sometimes it takes a bit. And now to have him start kind of hitting his stride, it's perfect time for me, baby. I love it. Let's get after it. Not sure how to pronounce this. Romulan Rum. Thanks for the super chat. Hope he survives. Everyone should take a step back and remember they're all humans still. Wise words right there. Johnny Rivers. Thanks for the super chat. Raiders will be at home watching Nixon and Rasul. Yeah, it's nuts. Although it was kind of fascinating watching that Raiders 49ers game. You talk about what might have been had they had maybe different quarterback game all year long. But yeah, that's kind of fun to watch, right? Take on not only their coach, but a couple of their guys and use them to turn our season around and hopefully get into the playoffs and make a run while Devontae and company are at home on the couch. You hate to see it. Tyler, thanks for the super chat. Nixon part of that kickoff coverage like Moses in the Red Sea, all pro playing in half a season. Has the last 4 weeks saved Joe Barry's job? Yeah, I don't think Joe Barry's job was ever in doubt in Matt's mind. That's my guess. But I've said it before. Go watch him give Joe Barry a big hug at the end of that Miami game. I don't think Joe was going anywhere. Fast, neat, average. Thanks to the super chat. Thank you, 23 and 74, for giving us the big hat. Best $112 I've ever spent. Are they $112? I want one of those big hats, but not for $112. My goodness. So big hats. If you need, some free pub and you want me to wear it on my stream, just send me one. That's what I'm saying here. $112. Holy cow. By the way, Fred, neat, average. You must have some disposable income. Well done, sir. Too old for this. Thanks for the super chat. Scoliosis, a physical illness when your team beats the Vikings so badly you throw your back out celebrating. It's a real condition, people. People got to guard against it. Eric, thanks for the super chat. Is it me or have they backed away from having Jones and Dillon in the backfield together? I don't know if they've backed away from it. I think they haven't utilized it as much in the second half of the season because they weren't getting a lot of production out of it early in the year. You've still seen a smattering of it, but yeah, they haven't used it as much. But again, I think it's because it's not like they were getting incredible results out of it. I remember earlier this season, I think it was Justice over at Acme Packing Company did a little kind of statistical breakdown of how they were doing production-wise with the Pony package, and it wasn't good. It wasn't incredibly productive. So I can't say it's like that big a surprise. Jair is going to cause the cheesehead hats to have their profits cut into. Yeah, very possible. All right, everybody. I'm going to have to get going. I can't thank you enough for hanging out, talking Packers each and every day. Monday through Friday, right here on the Cheesehead TV social channels. Please do me a monster favor. Hit like on this video. Subscribe to the channel. And then tell your friends and tell your family. Cheesehead TV. We are part of this Packers world that we all live in. And we hope you'll join us each and every day and make us part of your daily Packers routine. We are and will always be devoted to Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. Go Pack Go.